What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be installing the Burger Motorsports JB4 on my 2021 Toyota Supra. In this video, I'm going to be showing y'all the installation process of the JB4 on the car, which is going to include the installation of the Bluetooth module onto the JB4 unit, as well as the EWG wiring harness. So before we get to actually installing the JB4 on the car, we're going to have to take a look inside the box and see what all we got.
Alrighty, so here you can see the box. This is for the B58, B48, B46 BMW motors, which is obviously, as most of y'all probably know, the motor that's in the Toyota Supra. I got this tune off of Burger Motorsports website. I'll leave it linked in the description below. Alright, now let's open her up. So you can see we got some stickers. Looks like a little sheet here, giving you some more information, which I'll read later. And here is the JB4 itself. So right on top, we have the Bluetooth module. I optioned this on my particular unit. This is going to allow you to connect to the JB4 using an app on your phone, which in my opinion is a must. So this is definitely something I would option on your tune. Put that to the side here. Next thing is an OBD cable. This is going to plug into your OBD after we route it through the firewall, and then obviously hook up to the JB4 unit. The third thing, this is the EWG harness. This is something I optioned as well. It's an add-on accessory. It's like 35 bucks or so, and they recommend to use it on the 2021s and up, and on 2020s, especially if you're making any crazy power, if you're gonna run ethanol, they highly recommend this. So go ahead if you have a 2021 or up and option this as well. And then here is the JB4 itself. Now, one thing that I can say is initially right off the bat, this thing is way higher quality than I was expecting. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was expecting it to be nice, but this is really, really nice. So you can see here, this is aluminum of some sort, billet aluminum. So it's not the plastic that I thought it was actually gonna be. And you can see here, the wiring harness is also pretty darn good quality as well. So, not too worried about any quality issues here. JB4 seems to be really high quality. All right, so now that we've got everything out of the box, you can see here, we're gonna have to go ahead and install the Bluetooth module onto the JB4, as well as the EWG wiring harness. Okay, so we're gonna put some stuff to the side. Obviously the OBD port we don't need yet. We're gonna save the EWG for after the Bluetooth module. And here's the Bluetooth module. As you can see, it's going to plug directly in, which means we're not going to have to do any serious wiring, which is actually super convenient. I don't think they used to do that, so that's pretty new, and it'll make the installation a whole lot easier. Now, obviously, here's the JB4 unit. The first thing that you're going to want to do in order to get inside the JB4 is take off these 4 Allen bolts. I'm going to use a 2.5 millimeter Allen key here. So again, as I mentioned, this is metal, which is actually super sick. I mean, we're never gonna see it again once it's installed. So it's nice to see that they give it that extra touch, that extra detail there. All right, now this is the brain of your JB4. So this installation is super simple. All we're gonna do is pull out the Bluetooth module. This is $140 extra. Again, like I mentioned, being able to connect it to your phone actually makes it entirely worth it for me. I think that's part of what makes the JB4 so cool, is the mobile app. There's a little rubber piece here. Pull that out so that way we can route the wire in. And now you can see, make sure you're putting it in right. Pretty simple stuff, easily just line it up here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna pull it out, which is gonna allow us to plug this in. Okay, once that's done, we could secure the wire with these tiny Phillips screws here. So let's go ahead and do that. So you can see I have the screw put in place there, and then we're gonna reach in here with a little driver, secure it. You don't need to go too tight. Obviously you don't wanna strip it, but obviously enough to keep it in there while you're driving. Okay, that should be good. This isn't going anywhere. And now if you're not optioning the EWG wiring harness, from here you could just go ahead, put the top back on, done deal. but I'm gonna be doing the EWG wiring harness, which is gonna add just a little bit more work. Here's the wiring harness here. You can see that there's these 2 pins on it. We're gonna have to plug these 2 pins into this, and I'm gonna show you which ones we're gonna plug them into. So if you're not gonna be installing this, go ahead, skip this part of the video. I'll throw the number up on the screen to where you can skip to. But if you are, continue watching. So this is a little bit cumbersome to deal with, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use our Phillips screwdriver to undo these 2 screws here that hold this wiring harness onto the board. And now we can unplug this here and set the chip and Bluetooth module to the side here. So the trick to this is you want to be delicate with these pins here. Obviously they're fragile. You don't want to be jamming them in anywhere. So just be mindful of that, be easy with these pins. Now what we're going to do is we're going to run these wires through this rubber piece so that way we can plug them in to the back here. So I'm gonna put a diagram up on the screen now so you can tell where to route these pins to, but I'm also gonna show you in this video as well. The purple wire is gonna go up here, and the blue wire is gonna go down here. So with that in mind, I'm gonna route the purple wire up on the top side of this grommet, and the blue wire down in the lower section of this grommet. Again, like I said, we wanna be easy with the pins. So now you can see I'm starting to route these wires through. Purple in the upper section here, blue on the lower section here. So the purple pin is gonna go 2 over from the brown wire. So we're gonna skip 1 and then put it in hole number 9. And I'll show you which one that is here. So if you can see right there, that is number 9. So we can push that through just a little bit for now, and then we'll finish pushing it through once we get the blue one in as well. Now I'm gonna flip it around. The blue one is gonna go into 16, which is gonna be on the right side of this brown wire. So I'm gonna route the blue right here, directly next to the brown wire. And now we have both the purple and blue wires installed. Purple on 9 and the blue one on 16. So from there, we can finish pushing them through, again, being gentle with it. No reason to force it in. And for your reference, there's also numbers inside here so you can confirm that you got the wires in the right spot. So now what I'm gonna do is pull the pins through with these pair of needle nose pliers. What you're gonna do is you're gonna reach down in there, grab onto them, and just give them a little tug. All right, and then you'll feel it go tight. So now both of them are up and flush. You can see they're stuck through. They're at the same height as all the other pins, which means this thing's ready to go. Now just double check, confirm that they're on 16 and 9. And you can see that they are. Make sure you have the right ones going to the right spot. And now, boom, just like that, it's done being installed. So now all we have to do is plug this back into the board here. Again, the whole deal with this is gentle. Make sure those pins line up nice. They do. You don't want to force that. Definitely don't want to force these 2 in. And then we can secure it back together. Okay, just like that, it's ready to go. We can throw it back into its aluminum housing. She's back in. I'm gonna push this rubber piece up just a little bit to make sure it sits nice. And you can see everything is good to go. It's really not difficult at all. Finally, we're gonna put the aluminum door back on. You can see, make sure you're putting it on the right way. This does go on a specific way. You can see I have the bigger side here lining up with the bigger side here. So just spin this around. Gotta get these 2 little bolts that I just dropped. Now we can tighten it back down with the 2.5 millimeter Allen key. Boom, just like that, it's all put back together. Now we're gonna zip tie this JB4 Bluetooth module onto the side of the JB4. I want to be careful not to make this wire bend too quickly or too aggressively. I want to give it room.
Now the JB4 is ready to go on the car. So I'm gonna save the EWG installation for last because that's gonna be a little bit trickier. The JB4 installation itself onto the Supra is really simple. The hardest part is gonna be to get the OB2 sensor through the firewall on these Supras. It's a little bit more difficult, but not too bad. So let's start off with this. What we're gonna do is remove this little covering here. You can see you just twist it to unlock it, and now it just easily lifts right off. Next thing we're gonna do is pull off the engine cover. This is gonna be the first time I've ever taken this engine cover off. Let's see, oh my gosh, so easy. Okay, that was surprisingly easy, so there's that. So the JB4 actually only plugs into two different things, the T-map and the map sensors. Now if you option that EWG, it's gonna plug into 3, that EWG wire, which we'll find underneath the air intake. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and route this OBD2 port plug. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna poke a hole through the firewall so that way we can route the OBD2 port. Now I'm gonna show y'all, or try my best to show y'all where it is, because this is gonna be probably the hardest part. Hopefully with this video, not so much anymore. So you can see here, there's a little hole. Now directly through that hole, straight back, there's gonna be a black circle, and that's gonna be the hole you poke through. So it's gonna be it's really hard to show you on camera, but it's gonna be a glossy black, kind of shiny surface. It almost looks rubber, but I don't believe it is. Yeah, so it's almost impossible to pick up on camera. But you can see here, just straight back, that is where you're gonna poke a small hole. So you can see there, it's through. Now I'm gonna leave this screwdriver in there. So you can see it's in there, so that way I can show you from the inside where the hole is. So right here, up inside there, you can see the screwdriver sticking through, and that is gonna be the hole. So now we're gonna route, what we're gonna do is route the OBD2 cord from the inside out. So we're gonna stick that section through that hole we just poked right here, because it's smaller, while leaving this in. Hi Bailey, our new addition. So now I'm gonna stick this straight through that hole I just poked with the screwdriver. Boom, so I got it poking through. Now I'm gonna come around the outside here and try my best to get it pulled through. So like I said, it's gonna be straight through that, or I can reach around the side here. There it is. The hole is literally right there. I could touch it with the back of my finger right there. So super close. So you can reach in from the side here. Now that we have this pulled through, we're good to go on the OBD, at least until we plug it into the other end as well. So I'm gonna put that to the side there, and now we're gonna get to working with the JB4. Okay, so if this is your JB4 here, if this was yours and you didn't have the EWG, you'd only have this one main wire running. Now for me, I have this other one because of the EWG. So we'll put that there and wait, for now at least. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stick this thing down in there. We'll get it situated nicely later, but at least for now, plug in this OBD wire there. And now we can route this. So there's two different ways you can route this. You can route it either in between this rubber piece here, or you can just go around and under this. I think I'm gonna go with under this, at least for now. So right under that. And now this sticks out here. Now we can run it underneath the strut brace. Now we can start to plug that in. So let's start off with our map sensor. This is going to be the bigger one. Now we ran the wire through there and then directly out here. And now you can look for a sensor. It's going to be this one right here. So if you just look for the oil thing right there. So these pins are actually really easy to take out. These connectors are really easy to take out. You just take a small flathead like this, and then push it, and then just give it a light push. Now it's disconnected, and you could come in through here and disconnect this wire. Super easy. So we're gonna run this thinner wire there, take this to plug the female end into what we just unplugged, like that. See, that's all plugged in now. And then we could take this one right here, and plug that in. And then we can move on to the T-map sensor. That's gonna be the same deal. Now that we have the map connection plugged in, we're gonna unplug the T-map and then get that one set up. So this is the T-map sensor right here. It's the one that comes in and then pokes at a 90 degree. So we're gonna do exactly the same thing, unplug that. Okay, that one, I don't know why, it was a lot more work than the other one. Probably user error, but yeah, just be careful with this one. That one was a little bit harder than normal, but not terrible. So now we're gonna plug this into here. Keep in mind these are directional, so just look inside the JB4. You can see a little notch there, and you can line that notch up with the other plug. We'll move on to the EWG. If you're not doing the EWG, you're pretty much good to go. I'll go ahead and leave a timestamp in the video now so you know where to skip to if you're not doing the EWG. So in order to install the EWG connector, you're gonna have to remove the stock airbox. On the 2021, we have these strut braces here, which will also have to get removed. Use an E14 socket on them. Once you have the strut brace off, we can start to remove the airbox. So removing the airbox on these Supras is super simple. We're gonna start off with removing this sensor here, just like the two others we just did. There we go. Okay, so there's that. Now this airbox. All right, now we're gonna undo this hose clamp here. Pop the clips. Oh, there's another one down here. There's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 clips. Now this is gonna come out pretty easily. So now from there, all you gotta do is give that just a little pull, and she comes right out. So now this should be your view here. You can see here, there's this heat shield protector. If you kind of spin it, you can see these things here. These are actually just little buttons, so those easily unsnap. Now you can get to your EWG sensor. And here you can see the EWG sensor. So I'm gonna pop that out with this flat head. Okay. Now, in order to get it out, you have to reach in here, give it a little lift, and she pops right out. So I ran the EWG wiring as far away from the turbo and header as possible. And now I'm gonna plug it in just like we've been doing with everything else. Boom, installed. Now take this little heat, oh, that's hot. Take this sleeve and get it buttoned up and wrapped around. So I wasn't a big fan of having all this stuffed inside the heat shield. So instead what I'm gonna do is zip tie it up here away from everything. So take this zip tie, wrap it around. I'm actually gonna go through this little thing so that way it doesn't slip off. So now that's zip tied. Tuck neatly out of the way there, so that way it's not all stuffed inside that heat shield. Now let's get the airbox back on. So now we're gonna get the airbox back installed. What you're gonna wanna do is remove all these rubber pieces here. Some may have stayed in like this one, but 1, 2, 3.
take those off the air box and you're gonna put them onto these three little things here. So for this, you can see here that it has a little lip. This lip is gonna go in this direction. So the lip is gonna be on this side here. And then you're gonna put it down in here. Now you're gonna take your air box, put the heat shield in this way, kind of work its way down in. All right. Now get it kind of lined up, and then you could feel kind of when it's on the rubber pieces. And you could push it down into place in those three spots. Now watch out for this sensor here. Put this back on. Get your hose clamp tightened up. Last thing you should do is reinstall your strut brace, and then after that you're finished with the EWG. Now you can do whatever you want with wiring here. You can zip tie this stuff down, or you can just throw the engine cover on top. I think for now I'm just gonna put the engine cover back on top, and then once I know everything's good to go, I probably will zip tie things up just a little bit. So we're getting things buttoned up here. You can see the JB4 wire running there and then through there, but I still have to plug in the OBD2 port plug. Make sure I have it set right, and then plug it in like that. So now she's plugged in, and then I'm gonna take all this excess and wrap it with this tie that originally was wrapping up this cord. So now the OBD2 port is plugged in. You could see kind of where I ran the wire there, up and around, and now it's tucked up nicely in there, so you can't even tell whenever normally driving the car that the JB4 is installed. So I got this sound deadening foam and kind of sandwiched JB4 in between it, and then stuffed it down in here so that way it won't be moving around too much, and then put a little bit of electrical tape around this line so that way if it rubs against this metal piece it won't puncture anything, which I don't think it would anyways, but I just want to be safe. And so now that everything's all secured in there, we can grab the plastic shroud cover piece thing and then stick it in like that, press it down, and now the JB4 is officially installed on my Supra. So now let's go ahead, link the JB4 to my phone, and I'll show you what the JB4 app is all about. Okay, so I'm gonna turn the car on. Have it wake up. Now try to see if I can connect. Yes, link. All right, now let's do a little tour of the app. So here you can see a bunch of different gauges, RPM, map, gear, all that. Now say you want to change one of the gears, you can go in here, hold down on it, and there's a bunch of different things you could choose from. Whether it's water temp, oil temp, RPM, meth, miles per hour, there's a bunch of different stuff. Let's go with boost here for that one, so boost pressure. And next you can see you can start logging your data or disconnect from the JB4. Obviously we don't want to do that. And here this is where you can see all your data logs. Obviously I just put the JB4 on the car, so I don't have any data logs yet. This is where you can read codes. You can read codes and delete codes. And then you can see any saved codes, which obviously, again, just put it on the car. We don't have anything there. And here's the settings where you can change maps. Obviously you can see the different maps there. We can go to map 3, saving map. And now, just like that, I changed maps using my phone. Now, inside advanced, this is something that you probably shouldn't mess with unless you know exactly what you're doing. But you can mess with a lot of different stuff. Honestly, I don't have a clue what any of this is. But this is all stuff that you could do. If you're in contact with JB4, they may ask you to go in here and change a few things. But now you can see we're set to map 3. Let's start off with map 1 for now. and we'll see exactly where that puts us. All right, so there's a quick tour of the app. At this point, I think it only makes sense to turn the car on, get her warmed up, and then go for a little bit of a drive.